Feeling like stress and anxiety are taking over your life? Most quick fixes out there barely scratch the surface of the problem. What few mention is that there are simple and scientifically proven tools that can help you regain control. Want to know how? The science behind emotions is fascinating. We've all felt the weight of stress at some point, and it's amazing to realize that it's not just an automatic reaction. Our brain has a real system that regulates emotions and stress, and, interestingly, there are tools that help us keep it in check. Recent studies show that stress and emotions go hand in hand, but by understanding how the brain works, it's possible to manage stress effectively. This isn't one of those magical solutions you read about, but rather a set of science-based techniques that can change your day-to-day life. To control stress, it's essential to understand the relationship between the brain and emotions. When you feel pressured, your mind enters a state of alertness, activating specific parts that help you deal with the situation. However, when this mechanism is triggered frequently, it can have long-term consequences. But don't worry, because this also means we have the key to changing this scenario. Once you understand the process behind emotions, you can start practicing actions that directly and practically minimize the impact of stress. And you know what's even better? There are techniques you can apply in real time to reduce stress. Imagine being in a complicated situation where your heart races and your breathing becomes short. Now visualize that you can slow all that down in just a few seconds and bring back that feeling of calm. Yes, it's possible, and we're not talking about something complex, but methods that anyone can learn with a little practice. Can you imagine? You can turn high-stress moments into simple opportunities to stay in control. Now, you might be wondering, how does this work in practice? Well, here's an example. A professional under pressure can use these techniques to handle tight deadlines or tough meetings. Instead of panicking, they can apply tools in real time that regulate the emotional system, allowing them to stay focused and make clearer decisions. This not only improves work performance, but also long-term mental health. It's like giving your brain a literal extra breath. The secret lies in controlling how the brain deals with stress. And the amazing thing is that anyone can learn to do this. You don't have to be an expert to apply these techniques. In fact, the simpler and more consistent your daily practices are, the greater the impact you'll feel in controlling your emotions. It could be as simple as taking a few minutes to practice a breathing technique or adjusting your posture. Small actions can lead to big transformations. And speaking of transformation, this change starts with the decision to adopt scientifically proven tools to reduce stress. You don't have to be someone who just reacts to stress. Instead, you can be someone who actively controls your emotions by using what science has already validated. This is certainly not something we see being discussed in depth out there. It's a type of knowledge that few people have, and that you can use to your advantage to be more productive and, most importantly, healthier. During today's video, besides the main topics, I'd like to share something that has made a difference for me. Recently, I started using Cineboost, which has been helping me improve focus, energy, and even reduce anxiety in my daily life. If you're interested in learning more, take a look at the pinned comment. And the best part is, you only pay for shipping. Stress is like an unwanted visitor that insists on knocking on the door, and one of the quickest ways to get rid of it is through a simple yet powerful technique, the physiological sigh. This name may sound technical, but it's actually something we've all done many times without realizing it. You know when you're tense and suddenly let out a deep sigh? Well, that's what we call a physiological sigh, a natural mechanism of the body to relieve stress and improve oxygenation. And of course, with a small conscious adjustment, you can use it to control stress in real time. The technique involves a double inhalation followed by a long exhalation. Sounds simple, doesn't it? And it really is. Just take a deep breath once, then take a short second breath and exhale slowly. This process, though it may seem trivial, has a direct impact on the nervous system, activating the part responsible for calming the body. This is ideal for those moments when you feel the tension rising and need a quick tool to regain control. Practical, efficient, and best of all, instant. Imagine being stuck in a stressful situation like an important meeting or a tight deadline. Instead of letting the stress consume you, simply take a few seconds to do the physiological sigh. This simple act can reduce the feeling of suffocation, bringing immediate calm. Many people have already reported that this technique helped them maintain clarity in crucial moments. And the most interesting part is that you can do it anywhere without anyone noticing. No need to leave the room or take a long break. It's like pressing the reset button on your emotional system. There's something almost magical about the fact that something as simple as breathing can completely change your emotional state. This happens because the physiological sigh directly interacts with the autonomic nervous system, bringing the body back into balance. While most people think they need complex solutions to deal with stress, this technique shows that often the quickest path is also the simplest. The beauty of this technique lies in its ease of implementation. Anyone can learn and apply it, no matter the circumstance. When stress hits, the entire body reacts as if it's preparing for battle. This is the sympathetic nervous system kicking into action, activating specific functions that get the body ready to face the situation. The heart starts beating faster, breathing becomes shallow, and muscles tense up, all to ensure you're ready to deal with whatever's coming. However, while this system can be useful in the short term, it can cause damage if kept active for too long. Understanding this mechanism is the first step toward learning how to control it. The sympathetic nervous system acts like an alarm, ready to go off at the slightest sign of danger, whether real or perceived. This means that even if you're just dealing with something minor like an argument, the body can react as if it's in a life or death situation. It's interesting to note that this system was essential for our ancestors' survival. But in the modern world, where dangers are different, it can end up causing more problems than solutions. The good news is that just as we've learned to activate it, we can learn to deactivate it. A practical example of how this works can be seen in people who work under high pressure, such as healthcare professionals or firefighters. When they enter an emergency situation, the sympathetic nervous system takes control, ensuring they can act quickly. However, once the situation is over, they need to turn off this internal alarm to avoid the negative effects of prolonged stress. This can be done through relaxation techniques, controlled breathing, and other methods that activate the opposite system, the parasympathetic nervous system. This stress mechanism is like a motor that, if not turned off, can end up burning out. That's why in chronic stress situations, many people end up experiencing health problems like insomnia, headaches, digestive issues, and even heart disease. The body wasn't designed to stay in a constant state of alert, and that's where the complication begins. That's why learning to regulate this response is essential for long-term well-being. Controlling stress ultimately means controlling your own physical and mental health. The sympathetic nervous system is like that overprotective friend who always wants to keep you safe but sometimes goes overboard. And while it's vital in emergencies, it shouldn't always be in charge. If you feel like you're constantly on high alert, it's a sign that you need to start working on turning off that alarm. And this can be done through small daily practices like breathing exercises or even moments of disconnection from work or social media. The key to understanding this system is realizing that stress itself isn't the villain. It's just a messenger telling you that something needs to be resolved. But just like with any alarm, you need to know when to turn it off. This control doesn't happen overnight, but it's entirely possible with a little practice and awareness. If you feel overwhelmed, start by applying small breaks in your day to rebalance the system. That way, you'll not only handle stress more effectively, but also prevent long-term damage. Speaking of which, what many people don't know is that there's another system that can be used to control stress in real time, the parasympathetic system. It's the star of the next part of this conversation. When stress hits, it's like the body triggers an emergency alarm. But what many don't know is that there's a way to turn off that alarm almost instantly. The parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for bringing the body back into balance, promoting a sense of calm and control. When activated, it reduces heart rate, slows breathing, and relaxes the muscles, helping the body exit that intense alert state. This is the secret to controlling stress in real time, something anyone can learn and use daily. Have you ever been in a situation where everything seemed out of control? Imagine being in the middle of a heated argument, your heart racing, and stress taking over. At that moment, you can activate the parasympathetic system with a simple breathing technique. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly, allowing your body to calm down. Repeating this practice a few times sends signals to the brain that the danger has passed, helping to restore balance. It's like pressing an emotional reset button, and it can be done anywhere, anytime. And this isn't just a quick control technique. There are other ways to activate the parasympathetic system, such as regular breathing exercises, meditation, or even yoga. The idea is that by training your body to react more calmly to stress, you start gaining control over your emotions in situations that would have previously been overwhelming. The most interesting part is that you don't need to dedicate hours to this. A few minutes of practice a day can bring surprising results in reducing stress. A practical example of this can be seen in the daily lives of professionals who work in high-pressure environments. Imagine a surgeon, for instance, who needs to make critical decisions under constant stress. They train using these techniques to remain calm during complex procedures, ensuring that the body doesn't panic. This real-time controllability isn't exclusive to those who work in extreme situations. Anyone can learn to manage stress in crucial moments, whether during a job interview, public speaking, or even challenging moments in everyday life. Besides taking deep breaths, another powerful way to activate the parasympathetic system is through stretching and gentle movements. You know those moments when you feel trapped in tension? Taking a few minutes to stretch your muscles can be enough to trigger the body's relaxation response. A small movement can make a big difference in controlling stress, bringing back a sense of well-being. And the best part is that you don't need any equipment or a specific environment to do it. Once you start practicing real-time stress control, not only does the body respond better, but the mind becomes more resilient too. Situations that once seemed unbearable can now be managed with more clarity and tranquility. It's like gaining a new tool to deal with life's challenges without letting stress dominate your actions and decisions. This is the real key to living a more balanced and healthy life, even in high-pressure situations. And if stress affects the body, its impact on the immune system is not far behind. In the next part, we'll see how stress and immunity are more connected than we might imagine. Stress is a natural response of the body, but its impact goes far beyond emotions. It also directly affects the immune system. When the body enters a state of stress, the nervous system triggers a series of reactions that, in the short term, can be beneficial. For example, in acute stress situations, the body releases hormones like cortisol, which can help fight infections and inflammation. This defense mechanism evolved to protect us in critical moments, but the problem arises when stress becomes chronic. If stress persists for too long, the body enters a constant state of alert, and this starts to harm immunity. Instead of helping to fight infections, excess cortisol can weaken the immune system, making the body more susceptible to illness. Furthermore, chronic stress promotes inflammation in the body, which can trigger a range of health problems, such as autoimmune diseases, diabetes, and even heart issues. What was supposed to be a protection mechanism ends up becoming a health risk. Now think about someone who lives under constant stress, like an executive who has to deal with tight deadlines, meetings, and important decisions every day. Over time, the stress load starts to take its toll. This person may begin to get sick more frequently, feel constantly fatigued, and even show symptoms of chronic diseases. This happens because the body is spending too much energy trying to fight off the stress, leaving little energy to keep the immune system functioning efficiently. That's why stress management isn't just an emotional issue, but a priority for physical health as well. There are practical ways to keep stress under control and protect the immune system. One of them is incorporating regular breaks into your day, moments of rest and relaxation that allow the body to recover. Another effective strategy is engaging in moderate physical exercise, which helps release excess cortisol and promotes hormonal balance. Additionally, diet plays a crucial role. Foods rich in antioxidants, such as citrus fruits, green vegetables, and nuts, can help combat the negative effects of stress on the immune system. However, it's important to remember that not all stress is harmful. Acute stress, the kind that arises in short-term situations, can actually be useful for the immune system, preparing the body to react quickly to an infection or injury. The real problem is prolonged stress. So the key is to find a balance, being prepared for the challenges of daily life without letting chronic stress dominate your life. It's a delicate balancing act, but if played well, it can not only keep your immunity strong, but also improve your quality of life. And of course, it's always good to remember that the connection between stress and the immune system is just one part of a bigger picture. Emotional well-being is deeply connected to our physical health, and this includes how we feel about our social connections. In the next section, we'll talk about how the feeling of belonging and trust can directly influence our response to stress. When it comes to stress management, we often underestimate the power of social connections. The human brain is wired to benefit from close and trusting relationships. These connections not only provide emotional comfort, but also play a fundamental role in stress control. When we are surrounded by people who make us feel safe, the brain releases serotonin, a neurotransmitter that has a direct impact on mood and well-being. More serotonin means less stress and a greater ability to handle daily challenges. Imagine that moment when you meet up with a close friend, someone you trust. Even if your day has been difficult, the mere presence of that person brings a sense of relief. This is no coincidence. Science shows that positive social interactions stimulate serotonin production, which acts as a buffer against stress. This happens because our brain recognizes these moments of connection as a form of safety, reducing the perception of threat and helping to stabilize our emotions. It's as if social interactions are a natural medicine against stress. Now, if you think that these interactions are just about feeling good, know that the impact goes beyond that. Serotonin not only improves mood, but also helps reduce the negative effects of chronic stress. When your levels are balanced, the body responds better to stressful situations, minimizing long-term damage. That's why maintaining healthy relationships and nurturing moments of connection is so important for emotional well-being. These small doses of interaction can literally strengthen your immune system and increase your resilience to stress. For those who work in isolation or have little social interaction, it's essential to find ways to create these connections, even if it's virtually. Joining groups with common interests, keeping regular contact with friends and family, or even being part of an online community can have a positive impact on mental health. If you have trouble creating these connections, a good tip is to start slow, looking for activities you enjoy that naturally encourage social interactions. Little by little, this will build a support network that can make all the difference in moments of stress. In the long run, cultivating these connections is not just about temporary relief. Studies show that people with strong social ties live longer and have lower incidences of chronic diseases precisely because their stress responses are more balanced. The feeling of belonging creates a protective barrier against the negative effects of stress. Therefore, connecting, sharing experiences, and feeling part of something bigger is not just an emotional benefit, but also a way to promote longevity and physical health. Serotonin is just one part of this equation. The real power lies in how our relationships and interactions shape our perception of the world, and consequently, how we deal with stress. Emotional well-being is closely tied to the quality of our connections, and science only confirms what many of us already knew intuitively. Being around people we care about can be one of the most powerful weapons against stress. And this leads us to an interesting conclusion about the balance between body and mind. Now that you know these tools, are you ready to apply them in your daily life? Small changes can transform your life. And if you want an extra boost, I recommend trying CineBoost, which has been helping me focus, increase energy, and reduce anxiety. Check out the pinned link in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss more valuable tips. Oh, and the video on the screen will help you even more on this journey, so go watch it now.